Welcome into another video. It is officially Black Monday, one of the most dreadful days in the NFL season, the day after the regular season ends, and this is when the head coaches start to go down. Kind of a bittersweet day, I'll say, overall. Obviously, the bitter part is guys are losing their jobs. They have families. They got to be uprooted from their homes more than likely and go somewhere else. I know they're millionaires. I know people are like, oh, well, they're millionaires. They'll be fine. I get that. At the end of the day, though, these guys, put their time and blood, sweat, and tears into the franchise, and it just didn't work out, and they get fired. The sweet part is it's exciting for the fan base and the franchise to look into a new direction and see, what the future holds. You're talking to a Bears fan here. Time after time, I look forward to these Black Mondays every once in a while. It was Black Friday when Matt Eberflus got fired last year. But it's an exciting time, especially when you have a situation right here like the Atlanta Falcons, where they fire both their GM and their head coach. And I got the roster pulled up, and there's going to be a series of videos coming out after this one all throughout the night about each situation. But I got their roster pulled up because the Terry Fontenot firing really kind of surprised me. Not that he didn't necessarily maybe deserve it, but overall with roster building, I don't think Terry Fontenot has done a horrible job. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the quarterback position. And I feel like that was the ultimate demise of both Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot. Starting with Raheem Morris, to be fair, when he first got hired by Atlanta, I wasn't the biggest fan of this hiring. But I understand, you just had this offensive mind in Arthur Smith. You're looking to go into a new direction. It feels like these franchises really do flip-flop between offensive mind and defensive mind because they don't want to be stuck with the same issues that they just dealt with. But for their situation, I don't know if Michael Penix came into the process and after the fact of they hiring a defensive coach, but if they had an idea of drafting a quarterback in the first round, I really would have liked to see them go with an offensive-minded head coach. Raheem Morris, I feel like he just didn't get the best out of the roster. I feel like the Atlanta Falcons had a really overall productive season. They have a franchise sack leader now in their first-round pick in James Pierce Jr. They got a lot of sacks this year, which is the one thing that this franchise has never, ever, ever had. They got a really productive season out of Drake London despite his injury. Bijan Robinson had an insanely good year. Kyle Pitts looked like the tight end that they drafted him to be in 2021. Overall, though, it comes back to coaching, and this team finished 8-9 once again. They just falling under the expectations, and that comes down on coaching. With Fontenot, like I said, I was a little bit more surprised with Fontenot being fired, but he invested a shit ton of money into Kirk Cousins. That experiment failed. And then at the same exact time, he drafted Michael Penix Jr., who got injured, which is exactly what everybody was saying he was coming out of college, very injury prone. And I think that really just hurt Fontenot in the long run. He just missed on the QB spot. And that's kind of what's been holding this roster back. You would expect an offense of Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts to really be a lot more productive and win a lot more games than they are. But overall, though, why I was surprised that he got fired is he has had some pretty successful drafts. And if you look back on this one, the trade was really bad. I still think, I know Falcons fans now that James Pierce Jr. has broken the sack record and has the most franchise sacks in franchise history as only a rookie. That's extremely promising. Regardless, though, I still just don't think that the trade really worked out in their favor. I know that they tried to defend it. I can understand defending it a little bit. And if James Pierce Jr. continues on this path of becoming an elite pass rusher, then all in all, at the end of the day, it really worked out for them. Pick 13 is a lot better than what it was looking like. It was looking like the Rams were going to have a top 7 pick. Falcons go on a 4-game win streak and really saved that look. So that's a good thing. But James Pierce Jr., Jalen Walker, really good picks. Xavier Watts, though, and where's my guy at? He's a starter for sure. No, is he on IR? Billy Bowman Jr.? Is he on IR? he might be on IR or something, because both of those guys, I was really big fan of those guys. I thought that they got a steal on Xavier Watts in the 3rd round. I thought he easily should have been a 2nd round pick. He was my number 3 safety in this last draft class. And then offensively, I mean, his first overall pick as GM was Kyle Pitts. He turns around the following year and goes Drake London. The following year and goes Bijan Robinson. I mean, kind of 3 cornerstones for your franchise right there that he can land. But at the end of the day, like I said, it comes down to this right here, and it's Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr., which he just missed on. He kind of had it all going for him. Things were looking nice, but he just missed on the big one, the big quarterback spot. So I understand why that's why Fontenot is out, and it kind of reminds me of Ryan Pace in a way, who is also with the Falcons franchise. Ryan Pace, despite missing on his 1st round picks, he was a pretty solid drafter. But at the end of the day, they couldn't get the quarterback position figured out. And that's just kind of the fall of their demise. And that's why they're unemployed right now. Moving forward for the Atlanta Falcons, interesting to see what comes of it. What comes of the quarterback position? What comes if the new GM and the new head coach buy into Michael Penix Jr., if they want to go a different direction? They don't have a 1st round pick to make a move at that. Maybe they focus on seeing what they can get out of Michael Penix Jr. in year 3, and moving on from Kirk Cousins is probably a must in the offseason this year. It's going to be interesting to see what the GM comes in here and does, because you're talking about a 500 football roster now for a few years in a row. Like when Raheem was brought in, Kirk Cousins was brought in, this franchise was projected to go like 11-5, 10 wins. That didn't happen. So it's going to be interesting to see what direction the new GM and head coach. If it's going to be Penix, you got to probably go offensive mind. And once again, we're talking about the franchises flip-flopping on what they do with their head coach. But I feel like just a yet bright young offensive mind can come in here and maybe see what he can get out of Michael Penix Jr. Maybe you look at some stability, a bar raiser, Brian Flores, guys like that. Stefanski is on the market. I know Stefanski's already in talks with interviewing with the Falcons, and I'm sure he's going to have a lot of opportunities. The Stefanski video will come out here in just a second. But overall, I understand the firing. I predicted the firing. I thought that this was probably what was for the best. Later in the week, I'm going to have a video on my favorite head coaching candidates of the 2026 offseason. I think that there's some really good names out there. Not some huge names, but some good names available. Stefanski obviously going to be on that list. So Falcons fans, be excited. It's an exciting time. Tune into my video this upcoming week to find out who my best head coaching candidates are. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another video. If you want to figure out what happened with Stefanski, Gannon, and Carroll, those videos will be dropping shortly. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.